move to Q&A, I want to take a moment to hear from the attorneys that we have on today's panel who can talk with us about some additional barriers to justice that we face in Louisiana. I'll start with Ron Haley. Ron, thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you. You've been such an incredible partner to the ACLU of Louisiana, and frankly, just such an incredible leader in civil rights and constitutional laws as it relates to holding police officers accountable. So thank you so much. And I do want to recognize, I know that your family had a very recent tragedy, and the fact that you're still able and willing to give your time and energy to protect the rights of other people. I just want to honor you and say thank you so much for being with us.
Well, thank you, that means a lot. When you look at what happened to Ronnie and Aaron in the system as a whole in Louisiana, it's so insidious. I mean, so insidious for the fact that if we tried to make it a movie, you would probably have 4 or 5 different sequels. So I'm gonna try to be brief and explain to the listeners and viewers on like how this not only affects their cases, but how it affects cases throughout the state of Louisiana as it relates to excessive force and death by the hands of police. First, you look at what happened to Ronnie and Aaron. We heard the stories, we heard how horrific their treatment was. I saw part of the video of Ronald's murder. He was murdered. There's not an objective person that could look at that and say that he wasn't. But the fact that we are at the 2-year anniversary of his death and the body cam footage is yet to be released to the public is absolutely ridiculous. Aaron Bowman, we're almost at the 2-year anniversary of his brutal beating. The only account that we have to go on is that of Aaron and his fiance. It's almost 2 years for that. There's body cam footage. Yet we have not been privy, myself and Ms. Molly have not been privy to see that footage, and the public has yet to see that footage as well because of this thing called an open investigation. Even though we have active lawsuits, the only reason why attention was brought to Ronnie's case and Aaron's case is because we pushed for civil litigation. However, we're in what I call legal purgatory at this point because it is an open criminal investigation on these officers. We cannot get the discovery and expose these folks for what they are. Transparency is cut off at the knees. And that's part one of the insidiousness. Specifically as it relates to Ronnie and Aaron, Ms. Mona hit upon it. You know, is there some type of family connection? Well, guess what? There is. When Colonel Reeves was the superintendent of the state police, he came up, he cut his teeth, True Beth. His son is a part of True Beth. The individuals that did this to Aaron and Ronnie were a part of True Beth. And any cover-up as pertained to what happened had to get their direction or the blind eye turn from headquarters in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. There's no one that can tell me that it's anything different. That's part 2 of this insidious story. Part 3, to make it full circle, the Louisiana State Police, other than Jefferson Parish, Louisiana, which has its own issues, they are in charge with investigating most, if not all, with the exception of Jefferson Parish, excessive force cases, in particular those that deal with a potential wrongful police shooting. Now, if they're willing to cover up this in Aaron's case, in Ronnie's case, and they are in charge with investigating cases throughout the state, we know what's going to happen. Now, how does this play home? It allows for district attorneys to bring cases towards the grand jury and lean heavily on, hey, we had an independent investigation by the Louisiana State Police that said that this was justifiable force or a justifiable shooting. And they want to get some type of credit or they want to give some type of credibility to that. Well, that's bullshit. Now, I'm not going to use my French because it is. It's proven that they can't investigate themselves, so how are they an authoritative body to investigate other cases throughout the state? But that's how these things get swept under the rug.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for crystallizing those looked for us, Attorney Haley, and I also want to ask Attorney Donicia, can you please tell us your opinion about whether or not a federal investigation of Troop F is necessary, and any other remarks that you have around accountability in either of these two cases?
Well, I would like to say absolutely. We're faced with a situation here where we're needing to police the police. So in doing that, we have to call and request and demand, the Department of Justice through the FBI to look into these cases, because of situations like Aaron's and Ronnie's, where we simply cannot trust these local agencies and the state police to do their job. We want to speak and say, we have this hope for justice, and we have this dream that the things will go right. But we know what we're faced with every day, specifically for African Americans, such as Ronnie and Aaron. Here we are on the onset of 2 years without being able to see the body cam footage, and it's sad that Ronnie's not here. Aaron's here to speak for him, but we haven't seen the body cam footage there. And I'm thankful, but for the home surveillance that he had, they wouldn't have taken him serious to this point. And it's sad, thankful for the ACLU and the attorneys, myself and Ron Haley, who are working together, because we believe the Aarons. We believe, Miss Mona, your son. So we're asking for a fair, thorough, unbiased investigation as to what's going on. They have to look into these patterns and practices. We can't trust the officers to do their jobs in these situations, these particular officers. So how can we trust you, Troop F? We need someone a higher authority, a higher body or entity such as the FBI to take these cases on. And we don't really want it to be a situation where we're waiting months and months for you to decide if you're going to take these cases, but rather to say, hey, there's enough evidence here. We have people losing their lives, getting brutally beaten here. We need to take this under investigation. To, like I said, police to police for these excessive force cases, specifically discriminatory conduct towards African Americans in these cases, because that is the fear of the community, that nothing's going to be done. And that because the Louisiana State Police through Troop F said that this is the way it went, I'm forced to believe you. Heck no, we're not going to believe you. And we're going to continue to press forward and to request and demand for a federal investigation, because you're showing us day to day, 2 years on, that we can't trust you to give us an unbiased, impartial investigation. Something has to be done. And if we're going to look towards promoting change and trying to fix this broken system and to get justice for the Ronnies and the Aarons of this time, we have to get the federal the FBI involved. They simply have to. It's not a choice. We're just asking you to protect these individuals' constitutional rights and release the body cam. In order for us to get the accountability, give us the transparency.
Yes.
Let us see, and at the very least, let Aaron Bowman and Miss Mona and Alana and the family members see what really happened. Not a snippet, not 5 seconds. Let us see what really happened on those nights. Let the attorney see. Let us have something to report. We're acting, let the ACLU as advocates for the community, and we have nothing to tell them because of the ongoing investigation. So yes, we are crying out for a federal investigation for these type of cases.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that very, very compelling case that you made for independent investigation of the Louisiana State Police.